Welcome to another episode of That Crazy Triangle Guy. Here we are looking at Bitcoin US dollar index on the daily time frame. And I am zoomed out because I want to show you, for the purposes of today's video, we've added the blue parallel channel. We've not added it. It's been around for a long time, but we added it to the screen. Now, the blue parallel channel goes all the way back to the times of FTX. The FTX collapse here in 2022 and a little bit further. Actually, that's not even true. It goes back even further than that. It goes all the way back to all the way back to I have not gotten my phone fixed yet, so bear with me. I have an appointment this week. It's cracked, so it doesn't work as well. Come on. Here we are. Blue Parallel Channel Group goes all the way back to the beginning of Bitcoin's history. Back to 2011 and 2010 even. Okay, just a little history there. I will pause the video. All right, I'm back, so I didn't have to bore you with the scrolling through time crap. So the purple channel here goes back to June of 23. Just a quick refresher here. And the blue channel, the purple parallel channel, I should say, and the yellow lines associated with it that are perfectly parallel to it. And just represent small, like as if I had created smaller channels within the larger channel. So here we are at today. The other thing I have here is, besides these price predictions, is this green dotted line here. The green dotted line is a representation it's a projection of the daily Gaussian channel, a potential projection. They've just kind of guesstimated, but it all depends on future price action, so there's really no way to predict this here. But it's kind of a good guesstimate. And so I have the Gaussian channel turned on here, and you can see how that it matches this right here. And it's reasonable to believe that, given the price action sideways here, that this would continue a little bit sideways and not start turning up until a little bit delayed after price action starts turning up. So that's that. Let's turn this guy off now. The other thing we have here is the symmetrical triangle, which by now everyone is talking about. It's very, very clear. We mentioned it way back when, I'm sure, when it just probably right here. Anyway, regardless, we get this stuff, and that's the point of today's video. We're going to point out a triangle that nobody else is talking about. I don't believe, I don't know, I don't watch like in depth a lot of other people, just a handful. But so we have the perfectly symmetrical triangle. Now, okay, I'm going to paint a couple different scenarios, a worst case scenario for Bitcoin and a more bullish case scenario. Of course, there's the even worse case scenario. The even worse case scenario, let's just get that out of the way, is if we fall out of the purple channel here and the symmetrical triangle. Note that the purple channel is the base of the symmetrical triangle. And that's typically the case, is that the channels that we're trading in actually form the base or the top of these channels that form. And that's how you get your price targets, because the price target is really measured like back here somewhere, and it's actually just measuring the width of the channel. And when we do consolidate to the bottom of the channel, typically a breakout would take us back up to the top of the channel. So worst case scenario is that we fall out of this channel and into the daily Gaussian channel, and then we would continue at least sideways and more probably see some more downside action, maybe even into towards the bottom of this blue channel here in the mid 50s, possibly. Let's see if we have price action in recent times that goes down. We do. So I see this price action right here, which is looks to me approximately midway through this channel here. Now don't follow the dot on the screen, follow my cursor. I can't put my thumb over there in that portion of the screen where the cursor is, because that's where the crack is, and it doesn't work. So price action has recently come down to the mid portion here. So a worst case scenario would be that we fall in out of the triangle into the Gaussian channel and come down somewhere, probably into the middle section of this channel. So somewhere, if we did it before the halving, like to 58.5, and if we did it later, 62, 58, 62, something like that. And then once we hit the bottom of the Gaussian channel or something similar to that, we would then see a movement back upwards through the channel and a breakout from then on. And that, ironically, would be a dump in April and a pump in May, which is kind of backwards. Or maybe it's not backwards. Maybe, it does probably happen like that. A third of the time or something. Who knows? Quarter of the time. This would be one of those times. Now, okay, so that's worst case scenario, which I do not think is going to happen, but it could. The scenario that everybody's calling for, and what looks like... Well, before I get into that, let me mention something that Tyler said. Because I like Tyler. I like Tyler a lot. And Tyler notices a lot of things like what I notice. And with his own TA, I believe. And because he watches, I believe he really watches the charts and sees the patterns and sees what price action does. Because something he said the other day is a lot of times with these symmetrical channels or triangles, what we then do is have a fake out to the bottom of the outside the bottom of the triangle before we pump up. And I've seen this many times too, and that's how I've described it is that we kind of fake out the bottom here and kind of shoot around the end of the triangle and then have our pump out. I've seen that time and time again. The problem with that in this case would be that we would be falling into the daily Gaussian channel, and then it would play out probably more likely the way I described already in the video. So I don't think that's going to happen in this case. And a lot of times too, the reason why that happens is that the triangle that everybody's looking at is not really the real channel that the price action is following. Could be something like this blue channel scenario where we do have the purple channel, the blue channel, and actually it's trading in the blue channel, or both, arguably. But so that's the reason why it falls out of it. Like here, it could fall out of the purple channel and back into the blue channel, maybe down to here. And you could clearly see how this yellow line or white line, whatever color that is, and this dashed blue portion of the blue channel could as well be the symmetrical triangle that we're trading in. However, I don't really see it further back down here. So I don't think that's the case. All right. We are really digging in deep here, and not what I intended to do, but, at least it's thorough as far as analyzing the patterns on the chart. Now, what everybody is believing is happening is that we're trading in this symmetrical triangle, this little pennant here, bull pennant, whatever you want to call it, and we're about to break out. And certainly price action last night and this morning is indicating that we are on the precipice of a breakout here. And so this video is really to warn the longs, because that's what's been going on here time and time again, is that the longs are getting wrecked. The longs are getting wrecked. They're going after you. They're seeking you out and deliberately wrecking you to get money, get Bitcoin. Hey, there's a shortage here. There's a big shortage of Bitcoin, and they're doing everything they can to wreck shorts and longs. But it's apparently easier to wreck the longs right now. They're probably using these idiot short guys as fuel to liquidate the longs. But anyway, it's a very complicated scenario. So I think we will break out here. And that is one possibility, that we see a breakout here and that we actually continue. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. We're on the daily, remember. And also remember the other day that I took this blue, a few videos ago, I had proposed that we would, one scenario would that we would hit this question mark, possibly this question mark at the top of the blue channel here, come back down to our recent high, 73.5-ish, and then where's my other arrow? Oh, I guess then kind of follow this line sideways and then shoot upwards to those question marks at the top of the screen. That's a scenario I proposed a few videos back. And what I did afterwards, which that clearly didn't happen, however, price action did follow that pattern. And I took this blue line, which I'm not going to move right now, but you can see this blue line, and I connected this blue line right here with the arrow. I connected all those little question marks and arrows and stuff. You know what? I will move this line. Let's move the line. You know what? It's going to be too hard. So I connected all those with the blue line, and then I simply pulled the blue line downwards. This portion where the arrow is used to be up here when I connected everything. And so I simply pulled this downwards straight down to here, and it actually pretty accurately measures or follows the price action here and down here and then back up here, and it's actually right here where we're breaking out, which is pretty funny. And if we did see a breakout here, oddly enough, the blue line takes us right to the top of the blue parallel channel, which is one case, one scenario. That would be about just under 80,000, shy of 80,000. So that is certainly one scenario that could play out. And we are due for a pump, mind you. Maybe even more. Maybe even all the way up to these question marks at the top of the purple channel, which is in the upper 80s, 87-ish, 88, 90, into the halving. So that's the bullish scenario. Probably 90,000 by the halving is probably about the best we're going to get if we did just pump right up. And then we would see a pullback here in May afterwards. Now, here's the scenario that nobody is considering, as far as I know, that we do break out here, but when we hit this new local high, 73, like 70, mid 73K range, we get rejected. And what that would be doing is then transitioning from this symmetrical triangle. See, transitioning is very popular these days, and Bitcoin can do it too. From the symmetrical triangle here into a ascending triangle with the top here at 73.5. So we would come up here, get rejected. The market makers, exchanges, whoever would then dump and liquidate all those longs that just said, hey, we're going to the moon, baby. We're going to the moon. I'm long on Bitcoin up to 90K. And then they dump on you. They dump on you and they get you all liquidated. And what we would do is then come back down here, I don't know how many times, and retest the top of our previous symmetrical triangle. Which is typically what you do when you exit a symmetrical triangle anyway. So pump up here, come back down immediately, or we hang out here at the top all week, or possibly take all week to get to the top here, kind of dance around a little bit there, and then dump into the halving. Right here where we have the intersection of all these lines. Now, when you have intersections of a bunch of lines, that is creates a much stronger either support or resistance. We're on top of them all here. So you'd have support of the purple channel here, the bottom of the purple channel, which we haven't crossed below for some time. And you have the previous all-time high of about 69,000, and you have the daily Gaussian channel all intersecting right here, as well as the top of this our previous symmetrical triangle. All these guys are intersecting right here. Not this week, but the end of the following week. And then from there, we bounce. So that's the scenario that I don't believe anybody is looking at, and it would wreck a lot of longs and get all that extra liquidity that the other guys need, the bad guys need. The bad guys, the guys that are helping drive price action, whoever they are to you. But they are the guys that are trying to get your Bitcoin. So keep that in mind. And I will pause the video while I gather my thoughts to see what else I have to say. So if that latter scenario were the case, then we would see a pump then. After the halving, or at the somewhere around the halving, pump back up through here. This might act as resistance right there. So possibly we break through just like right at the halving, the week after the halving. Because the halving should be like on a Saturday or something like that. The week after the halving is when we start pumping. Come back down, retest real quickly. Head up here, possibly to the intersection of the, where you see the center line of the purple channel and the top of the blue parallel channel at around 85, probably like 85,678. Wouldn't that be cool? So, and you can see that in the past here, that dashed purple line has acted as resistance here, support here, resistance here, resistance here. So we clearly have had a lot of interaction with the center line of that purple parallel channel. So that would be probably a scenario if the latter case that I put forth did play out. And at that point, now we're getting into May. So I guesstimate that then we'd run out of steam probably and have the sideways action into the Gaussian channel here. We need to have some sort of a pullback, and I believe one more entry into the Gaussian channel before we start our parabolic bull run. So that would be one scenario, the end of May, that we do see that pullback and even into June. And then start our parabolic run out here, maybe a little bit later than I was thinking, in latter half of June and into July. Out of curiosity, I wonder when the June FOMC meeting is. All right, so here they Google, Dr. Google says June 11th to 12th, so that doesn't really help us out very much, as June 11th is where my cursor is right now, unless potentially that gives us the fuel to dump into the Gaussian channel and then see a bounce off the top of the Gaussian channel in late June. Who knows? We're getting far out there anyway. So the other thing I wanted to look at is the this guy, the RSI. RSI on the daily here is looking to break above the moving average, which is pumpy. But we don't have to go very far back to see where we did break above the moving average and then kind of just chopped sideways and fell back below it. So, but then again, we are in this. We are in a consolidation phase. So, and looking to break out of it. The other thing I do want to point out again is our long-term trend on the daily RSI here and here, and we didn't quite come back down to it here, but seems like we're respecting it, and this takes us into the end of the year, gets us back up into this area at the end of the year. Not to say that we don't, come up here many times like that prior to there, but believing that we were going to stay above here until the end of the year. And then we got to get all the way to April. So what's going to happen? April's way out here. Yeah, we still could. We still could continue onwards and upwards. 90 is like right there. Yeah. And that gets us all the way out to May. So, all right. So those are the scenarios I have. I'm looking at right now. So, okay, that's it. Like, subscribe, and we will see you next time.